Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're plunging into something, well, truly fundamental. It's happening inside you right this second.
Powering everything, really.
Exactly. Every thought, every movement. We're talking about how your body makes energy cellular respiration.
It sounds complex, and parts of it are.
Right, but we want to avoid getting bogged down in all the details today. Our mission is really to cut straight to the core mechanism.
That driving force.
Yeah, this surprising molecular dance of electrons.
It really is a dance.
Okay, so let's unpack this a bit. The goal for this deep dive, to understand how cellular respiration is fundamentally an oxidation-reduction reaction.
Or a redox, as scientists usually call it.
Redox, right. And what happens to those super important electrons along the way?
Where do they go? What do they do?
Exactly. Think of this as your shortcut, maybe, to really getting a handle on this vital process humming away inside you. So many of you listening probably know the term redox, but maybe it's been a while since chem class?
Yeah, probably for many.
So let's start right there. What is a redox reaction, at its simplest level? It sounds quite technical.
Well, what's fascinating is that redox isn't just some arbitrary fancy term. It's actually a portmanteau. It combines two processes that have to happen together.
Okay, which are?
Oxidation and reduction. So REDOX.
Got it.
And to put it simply, oxidation is when a molecule loses electrons.
Okay, losing electrons.
Yeah. And often, especially in biology, when it loses electrons, it tends to lose hydrogen atoms too. They often travel together.
Right, and reduction.
Reduction is the opposite. It's when a molecule gains electrons.
Gaining, okay.
And again, typically this means it also picks up hydrogen atoms. Now, here's the part that sometimes trips people up initially, the name reduction. Why call it that when it's gaining something?
Yeah, that seems backwards.
It does. But it's because electrons carry a negative charge. So when a molecule gains these negative electrons, its overall electrical charge becomes more negative.
So its positive charge is reduced.
Exactly. Or you could say its overall charge is reduced towards the negative end. It's a reduction in charge, not size or anything else.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense when you put it that way. Less counterintuitive.
It clicks eventually.
So with that basic idea, this give and take of electrons, let's connect it back to us. Cellular respiration.
Right, happening constantly.
So what's actually getting oxidized? Losing electrons, and what's getting reduced? Gaining them. And what are those electrons, doing in the process?
Okay, if we look at the big picture, the main fuel source, we use glucose. From food, that's the molecule that gets oxidized.
Oh, sugar loses the electrons.
Essentially, yes. Over several steps, it's broken down and electrons are stripped away. And on the flip side, the oxygen we breathe in, O2.
What we need constantly.
That's the molecule that gets reduced. It ultimately gains those electrons that came from glucose. And oxygen's role here is just indispensable. You often hear it called the final electron acceptor.
Final acceptor. Why is that so important?
Well, imagine maybe a waterfall generating power. The electrons moving through the system are like the water flowing down.
Okay.
Oxygen waiting at the bottom is like the pool or the drain that collects the water. If that pool wasn't there or if it got backed up.
The whole thing stops. No more flow, no more power.
Exactly. The whole energy-producing cascade would grind to a halt. So oxygen accepting those electrons and then combining with hydrogen to form water, H2O, that final step, is absolutely critical for the whole process to keep going.
It keeps the electron waterfall flowing.
Precisely.
Okay, this is where, for me at least, it gets really interesting. If electrons are being stripped off glucose way back at the start, and oxygen is waiting right at the very end, how do they get from point A to point B? Did they just sort of drift over?
No, not at all. That would be way too chaotic and inefficient.
Right.
They absolutely don't just float around. As soon as they're released, they're immediately picked up by specialized molecules. Think of them as electron carriers.
Like little taxis.
Exactly like taxis, molecular taxis, ready to shuttle these very important passengers. And the two main ones you always hear about in this context are NAD plus and FAD plus A.
NAD plus and FAD plus A.
Okay. NAD plus stands for nicotinamide dinucleotide. Quite a mouthful.
Definitely.
It gets reduced, remember, gains electrons and hydrogen, and transforms into NADH.
Okay, NAD plus becomes NADH.
And similarly, FAD plus flavin adenine dinucleotide is reduced to FADH2. It also picks up electrons and hydrogens.
FAD plus becomes FADH2.
Correct. And it's really key to remember when we say these carriers are reduced like NADH and FADH2, it means they're now holding those electrons. They're carrying potential energy.
So these loaded taxis, NADH and FADH2, where are they going? What's the destination?
Their destination is critical. They transport this precious cargo, the electrons, directly to the mitochondria.
The powerhouse of the cell. Everyone remembers that one.
That's the one. And once inside, or rather within the mitochondrial membrane, they deliver these electrons to something called the electron transport chain.
Okay, the electron transport chain. What happens there?
That's where the main energy extraction happens. Think of it like those electrons being passed down a series of steps, molecule to molecule.
Like a bucket brigade.
Yeah.
Or your waterfall analogy again.
Yeah, the waterfall works well. Each time an electron gets passed down a step, a little bit of energy is released and captured. It's a controlled release.
You said before these carriers are vital.
Yeah.
Why so vital? What happens if these NADH and FADH2 taxis just stop running?
Well, this really gets to the heart of it. Why are they absolutely critical? It's because the vast, vast majority of our body's energy currency, ATP, adenosine triphosphate,
The stuff that actually powers cellular work.
that's it. Most of that ATP is generated through a process called oxidative phosphorylation.
Yeah, okay.
And oxidative phosphorylation directly follows and completely relies on that electron transport chain getting those electrons delivered by NADH and FADH2.
Ah, I see. No electrons, no chain, no ATP.
Pretty much. Without those carriers constantly ferrying electrons, without that controlled handoff down the chain, the main ATP production just stops. It would be catastrophic. Like the city's power grid going dark because the fuel can't get to the power plant.
Wow, okay. So it's really not just about, breaking down food. It's this incredibly intricate, almost electrical process.
It really is like biological electricity in a way.
We've seen cellular respiration isn't just metabolism. It's fundamentally this redox reaction. Glucose gives up electrons, oxidation. Oxygen takes them at the end, reduction.
The final acceptor.
And these crucial carriers, NAD plus and FAD plus 8, they're the essential link. The taxi.
Showing these electrons, yeah. NADH and FADH2.
Making sure they get to the mitochondria, to the electron transport chain, so we can actually generate the ATP energy we need literally every second.
That's the core story of energy production. And maybe here's a final thought to leave you with. Think about how this basic principle, this transfer of electrons, are redox from these simple chemical ideas we discussed, all the way up to the complex machinery inside our mitochondria. How fundamental that electron flow is. It underpins nearly every biological process you can think of in some way or another.
So it's not just about energy.
It's involved in signaling, building molecules, breaking them down. It truly is, in a very real sense, the electrical current of life itself.